Haidong! So in this video, we're going to talk about activating your major muscle groups during Form 1. So just like how you learned in Kimase, right? So there are going to be 4 major muscle groups that you should be activating in any given sword form, right? So it's going to be the glutes, the upper thigh, the core down here, and also the deep shoulder blade. So this is one way you can actually practice this with Form 1. So when you're starting your form into the Teidose, right? So from here, obviously you shouldn't necessarily step this way to get into your form for many reasons. So the idea is I want to push, again, my energy, my sword, everything going forward. So again, feel your lower core activate, feel your left glute activate, kick down with your heel, and all at the same time, you're going to be pushing forward into your Teidose as you drop Teidose. So notice the more you activate your glute, the easier it is to actually kick that heel back, because ideally, that is going to be on the 45-degree angle. And the more you activate the glute, it's actually easier to keep your belt knot more forward, and it's actually easier to actually draw back later. Right, so from here, activating the glute, so instead of kicking back, think about activating the glute into your defense. So as you're in your walking stance, again, you should feel, again, the glute activate, your lower core should always be active, right? So if you're here, as you're sliding forward into your center cuts, again, engage the glute. So again, don't think about step, drag in. Now, you're going to see some higher masters obviously doing that. The reason why they're doing it is they're activating something for all terrain, right? So this drill is primarily to get you used to moving your body as opposed to what you're going to actually do in combat, right? So this drill is really good for very, very smooth floors, right? So if we're here, again, activating the glute, for now I don't necessarily need to cut from here, activating the glute, activating the core, push forward, right? So that's going to get you used to moving in one particular direction. So this is also going to be easier. So notice that I'm in my parallel Chianse as opposed to my twisted. So one reason why I do prefer the parallel one is if you're in your twisted and you really engage, and you really try to push, you're going to be actually activating the smaller muscles along your leg as opposed to the deep glute. So again, if you ever see me on Chianse parallel, that's why. But from here, right, so again, activating the glute. Also think about contracting your core, right? So as you cut, again, as you use your glute, pushing up, right? Now ideally that's all going to be in one motion, but for now, again, glute, core. Again, pushing in and pushing out. Another way you can think of this is actually kicking down the heel as you move forward. All too often, I see people with this kind of, hopefully you can see it, but with this, the heel up with their walking stance. Now, if you do that, you're going to first of all feel, which muscle group is active just holding this, and that's going to be the calf muscle. And if you engage that, again, they're much smaller muscle groups than your glute, right? So if your glute is activated, you can move a lot more efficiently, you're going to tire less quickly. So, if you notice yourself doing something like this, kick the heel down, and as you do so, you're going to feel the glute activate, right? So if you're here, again, moving just forward for now, kicking back with the heel, it's also going to help you kind of realize how much of the glute you can use. So think about the second half of the form. So you're no longer just pushing forward, you're actually going to be stepping. So naturally, so if you're here, and we just activate the left glute to keep going, from here, I want to activate the right glute, again, kicking the heel down as I move to kick into a walking stance here. So notice I'm also not coming up and down a lot, right? So walking stance is intended to be very maneuverable, as opposed to these really deep people trying to do something like that. It's not going to be as effective as a walking stance as opposed to having slightly smaller steps, right? So if it's smaller, you can still activate the glute here, right? And also, so the main reason I want to engage this a little bit more is if you activate your glute, it also helps you move really in any direction, right? So if I need to move sideways, it's a lot easier. So a drill for someone who's a little more experienced with this, so this is something that, again, once you are really, really used to moving in the 2-part system for the cut, I want you to try this, right? So from here, I want you to start your preparation for your cut, right? Here, going up, almost like halfway through. From this point, right, so I didn't move yet. So at this point, again, push your body underneath it. It's actually going to help synchronize your cut and power it up, right? So if you're here, you push, again, almost like you're trying to stab someone under the jaw. Here, push, 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 push. Now your body is going to push itself underneath it, So notice as I did so, the sword naturally went back and was able to synchronize into the cut very, very effectively. So this is a slightly higher concept for someone going through Form 1, but it's also going to, again, speed up your cut, make it more effective in fighting, right? So if I'm fighting you here, and I see you do a step, prepare, and then you're going to slide and cut, I already know what you're going to do, right? And it also gives me a lot of time, so first of all, it gives me a lot of time to react, and also, it's going to be a slower cut, right? Versus, if I'm here and I'm pushing forward, and right? It's going to be a lot faster in the middle of combat. So again, that said, this drill is really, really good for smooth terrain. You're going to see some similar drills with like Kendo, Iaido, Gumdo, and all that kind of stuff, where they have all that pushing motion. But obviously, if you try to do that on a non-even terrain, you're going to fall very, very quickly. So you might ask, okay, why push this idea if it's not going to work with everything? So the idea behind that is once you learn how to do this in the ideal situation, you're going to naturally dial it back when you're not, right? So if I'm used to push in my normal cut, and I'm suddenly on uneven terrain, I'm still going to be able to push, but I'm probably going to start rolling my foot as opposed to that nice glide, but I'm still going to have that same synchrony, I'm going to have that same power engaging with the cut. So a drill that I would like you to try at home, right? So if you're here, as you're pushing, so right now you don't necessarily need to go into a walking stance. The idea is just getting used to activating the core. So I want you to just push into a teirose, and you can also give me a little bit of a thrust, right? So if you're here and you want to just use a right hand, you can just thrust this way. Again, activating the glute. And notice I didn't activate as much, otherwise I would have my heel further back. Also you can do left hand, right? Here, I can just push, thrust. Again, engaging the glute, engage the glute and the core, drive back in, as opposed to kicking back into here. This idea was introduced in Form 1, but again, this is something that's going to be lifelong as you do swordsmanship. So try with Form 1 and with all your future forms. Haidong!